This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're back, this time talking about Marvel Zombies. Grr, arg.
Brains.
That settles it. We have to get this thing to people who can use it.
You mean leave? No, we have everything we need here.
Except hope of any kind.
You can't eat hope.
True.
Yeah, well, you can't hide from it either. That's not what the Avengers would do.
Yeah, that's also true.
Your favorite Avenger tries to eat you every time we go into the city.
Yeah, he totally does.
If there's even a tiny chance that transmitter can help people, we have to get it to where it's going.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders, to TV Podcast Industries. Oh, we're chatting about Marvel Zombies. The first season of Marvel Zombies, and we're kicking off with episode 1. No other title than that. I am one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow Defenders. Welcome back to TV Podcast Industries. I am your other host, John.
Fantastic to be back talking about a bit of horror in the Marvel universe.
Exactly.
For Halloween, we should kick off by saying Iasaun Honna Yves Galer, which is Irish for Happy Halloween to all of you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You'll be hearing that a lot tomorrow, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, certainly will.
Yeah, all around Ireland.
And a bit more Irish in this series
there
as
is.
well, towards the end. So, yes, welcome back, fellow Defenders.
Mm-hmm. Kind of cool to be talking about Marvel Zombies. I know this was released about a month ago, before Halloween, but we were unable to cover it back then with everything else that was going on. So we decided to hold it over for Halloween, hoping that we'd have all three of us together. And unfortunately, poor little Chrissy has come ill on the final day.
He has succumbed
to
the spirits of Halloween.
I kind of feel like he'd be the first of us to get the zombie virus.
Oh, big time. I'd be the second one.
Probably.
And you'd be the one that would get it, and then next day would be normal again.
No, I'd probably end off as being a head in a jar. I would have some impact from it, but I would be completely free of the zombie virus after that, but I'd just be a head in a jar. But yes, speaking of that, it does spit out directly from What If Season 1, What If Zombies. This story takes place 5 years after What If Zombies. So I'd probably recommend going and checking that out.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
there's definitely some direct tie-ins to this season, aren't there?
Oh, there, absolutely. Complete tie-ins. In particular around episode 3, where it goes back to sort of the end of episode 5, is it, of What If? So, yeah, definitely recommend checking out the What If Marvel Zombies episode.
Yeah, but we can assume that you've all watched the whole season, but we're only going to talk about the first episode on this podcast right here, and then we'll talk about the rest of the episodes as we get through them. Let's jump into it, John. These are half-hour episodes, so we're going to be quick and sharp on our chats all about...
It's like zombie teeth, quick and sharp.
Exactly.
Brains. Right, let's get into our spoiler-filled discussion. Derek, what are some of the episode details?
Well, executive producers of the show are Kevin Feige, Louis D'Esposito, Brad Winderbaum, and for this show are Dana Vasquez-Eberhardt, Zeb Wells and Bryan Andrews. Zeb Wells is the showrunner for the show, and he wrote the teleplay and wrote the story with Bryan Andrews for these episodes. Bryan Andrews directed the series as well. Just want to mention Zeb Wells because he's a very well-known comic book writer, and also wrote the Retreat episode of She-Hulk as well, and was a co-writer on The Marvels and Deadpool and Wolverine. So he is a very prolific writer within the Marvel universe. Knows his stuff really well. So it's kind of cool to have this show in his hands, and himself and Bryan Andrews wrote the whole series together. So those are the same credits that will be there for the rest of the episodes of the season.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
Well, John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for Marvel Zombies, Episode 1? No additional title other than Grr Arg.
Sure. Episode 1, lone survivors face an unforgiving world of horrors. 5 years after the zombie outbreak in New York City, friends Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop and Riri Williams find a shrunken transmitter device inside the body of Dr Erik Selvik with the help of Tony Stark's former AI, F.R.I.D.A.Y. They escape an attack by zombified Clint Barton to try and reach a former S.H.I.E.L.D. base and decode the device. But on the journey, Kate is killed in a battle between the undead Captain Marvel and the malfunctioning Eternal Icarus. Riri sends Kamala ahead to save the world, and Friday stays behind to save her new boss. Wearily continuing through the night, Kamala gets help from the new Fist of Khonshu, Blade Knight, who brings her to the SHIELD site, where they encounter the Widows led by Melina Vostokov, Alexei Shostakov, and Yelena Belova. After an attack by Wanda Maximoff, the Queen of the Dead, Melina sacrifices herself to allow the new team to get away and find a ship to save the world.
Epic start to the first episode of the season in the spin-off series, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's actually a really good episode because, I mean, like, you do feel immediately like they're under threat. I mean, even just the zombified Clint Barton, you know, is pretty accurate with his arrows. And certainly then when they get the old red eye treatment from old Wanda Maximoff.
Absolutely.
Or zombie Wanda,
then Zomba Maximoff,
Zomba Maximoff, and then you know it's all pretty hairy, really, and as well then to get two sort of significant deaths really here, potentially three, really, sort of sets you on edge, really, and it's quite good in that respect.
It is. It felt like a proper horror movie. From the beginning, I thought did a really good job. But let's get into our major points from the episode. I'm going to talk about our top 3 points from the episode. One of the things you'll probably notice as you watch through the series is that the show is really very definitively split along the lines of the setup, the big action moment, and then the cliffhanger for the next episode, or maybe the introduction of some characters. So it's quite easy to break into three parts per episode, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's possibly were like I didn't mind it, but I could imagine arguably that, you know, it is quite repetitive. It's generally as well just has different characters along the way, maybe different zombies, another group, but it's certainly that structure.
I kind of liked
throughout the 4 episodes.
Yeah, I kind of liked it for 4 episodes. I couldn't imagine if this was a 12-episode season or something like that. But I know the original thought that the show was going to be a movie at some point, but you can tell by the way when you watch through the 4 episodes that that may have been an idea a long time ago, but it never carried through to the final writing of the episodes. There's too many flashbacks and flash forwards and storylines spread across different characters for it to be a movie just cut into 4 episodes, as I think the speculation was. But let's start off in New York with the opening of the episode and our major characters that we're following. Beginning of the episode, it's kind of cool to see Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, and Riri Williams take center stage here. 3 characters that have come from really 3 different parts of the Disney Plus universe and into the movies as well. Kate Bishop, the star of the Hawkeye series, alongside Clint Barton. Kamala Khan, star of her own series, Miss Marvel, and of course the Marvels movie as well, was the star in there, even though there was 3 major characters. I loved her in the Marvels movie specifically. And then Riri Williams, the most recent character that we spoke about in live action in her Ironheart series, and also starred in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. What do you think of the team up of the 3 of these characters, John?
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the 3 of them. I do really like Kamala Khan. In particular, like with our intro, I just love the way she kind of finishes off or is sort of the narration around someone's conversation. And I just think it's really, really good.
It's just such an agreeable character. It's like, you do have a good point. Oh, actually, no, that's also a good point.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
you can't take a side in
like that dynamic I've always found great about Kamala Khan. It's good to have the 3 of them here. I like the fact that Kate Bishop is, you know, because I don't think we've seen enough of her since Hawkeye, really.
Not at all.
I know still animated Kate Bishop, but it's good to see her, and the fact that, as they say, her hero who always wants to try and eat her every time they go into the city to try and find food. So I really like this team up, and I think it progresses really nicely through this episode, really, in tragic ways that you just didn't think was going to happen straight off the bat. And I think that's when you realize, you know, this at its core does have a horror element to it. No one is safe. So yeah, I really like this because I just think it really upped the ante. And in terms of, rooting for these three characters.
Yeah, it was a real surprise. But again, if you think back to that first appearance back in What If Zombies, it was Banner arriving back on Earth, and all of our major Avengers heroes are already dead. They're like, Wong's dead, Tony Stark's dead. They've all been killed already. They're already zombies. So that was the opening of the first episode. So having these three major characters here at the opening of the episode, and them not making it to the end, not all of them making it to the end of the first episode, is a great way of setting it up that this is a different universe. Nobody's safe. Everybody can die. I absolutely thought this was going to be Kamala, Kate and Riri together for all of the episodes, all using their talents together. Maybe that's a job for a future animated series. I'd be happy to see that. I'd be happy to sit down and watch that in live action as well. But not this show. This show is about the danger that's out there with all the zombies. A couple of little things that I thought were really cool. If you think about these characters and what we've seen of them, and of course most of this universe hasn't existed because of the zombie plague and the zombie outbreak happening 5 years ago. So we haven't had the introduction to Kamala and her powers. She has one bangle, which is, she says, her nana sent to her in the post before the outbreak happened. So that's all happened beforehand. We have Kate Bishop, as you mentioned, going into New York City and being confronted with her favorite Avenger. So she hasn't had the moments of hanging out with Clint Barton like she did in the Hawkeye series. And Riri Williams, a slightly different story, it seems, in here. We see that she has F.R.I.D.A.Y. and she has Iron Man suit here following along with her. She still has intelligence, still builds her own outfit, but doesn't have a suit of armor like she has in the Ironheart series. So it seems like she took the armor off the dead body of Tony Stark, who was taken out in that first part of the first episode. So I wonder, was that a nod to something that was supposed to happen in the Ironheart series? Was she supposed to steal the actual Iron Man suit? Was that the heist that she was supposed to be doing in that show, and then the show got retooled, and then eventually the version that we saw released had her building her own suit from scratch?
Maybe, but equally it's difficult to know, really, because that was done quite a while ago now, and I feel this is a newer, in terms of its production, is more recent.
No, this was actually ready to go last October, and animation takes about 3 to 4 years. So there's a couple of things that we'll talk about in the episodes that were expected to happen in the universe and may not have come to pass as of the character later on in this episode specifically, which we'll talk about as well. But I just wonder, was there an idea that Riri is supposed to be much more connected with the Tony Stark character? We mentioned that a little bit when we talked about Ironheart as well, that story had changed a little bit over the years. But I wonder, was there supposed to be a bigger connection with her being the new Iron Man for the universe or something?
Yeah, no, I mean, that is interesting. I thought it was the other way around, but I mean, in which case then, I guess it's easier to change things when it's in, I say easier, but relatively speaking, probably easier to change things in live action. Whereas, this is coming, with significant amount of animation to be done and so on. But equally, I didn't really notice, if I'm totally honest, that there may have been differences. I mean, even with like Iron Man and or Teddy Iron Man or Friday Iron Man, like I would have just assumed, well, Tony Stark died, so the suit was there.
Yeah,
she was a mentor. So I didn't really kind of read into it too much, I guess, ultimately.
Yeah, I just wondered, was it a nod to an original story, or was there some kind of connection there? Because in Ironheart, Riri's always talking about the fact that people won't respect her unless she has that level of fame that Tony Stark got because of his connections, I suppose. So I just wonder, was there something in there about that? But some other elements in there. I was fascinated when I saw the original synopsis for this on Wikipedia that apparently that's Dr Erik Selvik aboard the Shield ship, the person that's
the Quinn
swallowed.
jet.
Yeah, it's the person that swallowed that tracking device or the communications device and then turned into a zombie. I have no idea how they'd know that, and I don't know whether it's whether one of the writers of the show told them that afterwards. It kind of makes sense, since we don't have the big battle in New York in this universe. Dr. Erik Selvik did work for S.H.I.E.L.D. and the investigation of the Tesseract in the first Avengers movie, so he would have been in a S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, probably putting all of his power into some kind of investigation, but he would have been part of that kind of brains trust that would have had the idea of who do we contact to save us from the plague. So I love the concept of it, but I didn't see anything in the show that indicated that it was Dr.
Yeah,
Erik
I mean,
Selvik.
I think it's just a passing kind of reference, but yeah, you'd never get that it's Erik Selvik, I don't think, from watching it, unless there is something that just flies by in the actual show.
Like his Quinjet, yeah.
Well, no, Quinjet, but I mean, Quinjet, well, is it, Black Widow? Who knows who it is?
I feel like they've probably just made the connection that because it's a S.H.I.E.L.D. device, it needs to be decoded at a S.H.I.E.L.D. site, that it must be someone that came from a S.H.I.E.L.D. site, yeah.
I think the main thing for me, I was just more focused on the fact, when they were kind of going, well, is he dead? And it looks like he's dead. And then ultimately you do get, you're kind of going, well, is he dead? Or is he dead alive? So you do get the jump scare there, which is quite good. I like the interaction between the three saying, well, I did the last gross thing. I'm not putting my hand in that stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So, but ultimately here we find then that this is a subspace transmitter from Project Life Shot. And they ultimately decide that they need to get this to people who can actually figure it out and use it. And so in that regards, then they have this, idea to head to Ohio, where they believe there is still an operable S.H.I.E.L.D. base.
Yeah, and again, another little touch to have Riri already on the S.H.I.E.L.D. network. She thought the whole system was down, but she is able to figure out how to get onto the S.H.I.E.L.D. network to find this base effectively. So no security system safe from Riri Williams' abilities. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. One other thing happens in New York. You kind of mentioned a little bit about it, but what did you think of this idea of having Clint Barton, Hawkeye, on watch over the city, effectively? And if anybody disturbs them, he's shooting his arrows out after they come in.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. So this may be the one thing I didn't quite understand, because you have Clint Barton attacking them whilst they're in the Quinjet.
Yeah.
And, he's very, very good, very, very accurate, and very, very sound with how he does his attack. Even like ricocheting an arrow off multiple walls in order to sort of almost kill one of them.
Yeah.
But he's not got the red eyes of being under the influence of the dead queen. And I think it's not until episode 3 that you realise that they are starting to learn. So you get that about Thanos. Now, obviously we'll discuss that with the episode 3, but that's where it really comes in, where they begin, the zombies begin to learn. And that's obviously what's happened here with Clint Barton. That he has, started to learn and become, in a sense, a bit more clever as zombies go.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, he's clearly strategic and tactical, and so it's not just he's wandering down.
No.
Yeah,
he's not a mindless zombie. I think this is a little bit of a mishmash. I love the idea from the Marvel Zombies comic books originally written by Robert Kirkman. The idea was that the superheroes would become zombies and they keep their brain and they keep their abilities. So you'd still have people with laser eyes and have the claws and all that kind of stuff. But they would be unable to stop themselves from eating human flesh, and that's kind of it. That's the only big change, but it's quite a massive change. Their body's telling them that the only thing that will satiate this hunger is to eat human flesh, or eat each other, or eat themselves in some cases. But they do still have their abilities. So this is a little bit of a layover of that. And I also think it's mashed in with George Romero's version of what happens with zombies, which is that they retain the basics of what they used to do. So the joke in George Romero is that that's why the mall becomes a really important place for zombies to go to in Day of the Dead, because that's what people used to do en masse over and over again. So here we have Hawkeye, a person who's very used to firing arrows at all times at anything that he sees that moves and able to hit them. And I think he's kind of going going through those motions. He's left in the city of New York. There's nobody else there. They said the predators have left the city because there's no more prey there, and you just have Hawkeye going through the motions of almost like the alarm system for New York City, watching from above, trying to take out the last humans as they come through. So I kind of love the idea of it. It's a little nod to those two big influences, of course, on zombies, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't connecting that at all. Yeah. It was more when you have the red-eye zombies of Wanda's horde, where they then, yes, they're under the influence, under control, but they're given kind of, in a sense, some form of sentience. It's clearly something different than that's happening to zombie Hawkeye, but yeah, I was just intrigued by that, and I think it became clearer when you see Thanos in episode 3, and this is a different takeover.
And also, as you say, Okoye does come to New York City and does bring Hawkeye into the fold, into Wanda's group. So he does get those red eyes later on in the episode as well.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of cool in New York. That's kind of the end of it. But that does set the team off on their mission to go off to the S.H.I.E.L.D. base, and on to our second point, really, because we get a bit of a road trip. We get a little mention of the fact that Riri has her vehicle, her cool car, which is the Uhura, and another nod to the TV show, being a Star Trek reference, and she's a big Star Trek fan. So I love that they kept that up. We mentioned in the show how weird it is that they were referencing a property outside of the Marvel Universe like Star Trek, but it's so ubiquitous. You know, they don't have to reference Star Wars all the time just because they own the property.
No, definitely.
Cool they have the Uhura as their vehicle, and we even have Kamala in the back seat going engage number 1. You know, she's referencing Picard as well, so it's kind of cool.
No, it was good. I enjoyed this. Again, you're kind of just getting to know them, and then you know you're seeing also the desolate world around them. I think there is a moment as well, you know, where they kind of have this sense that they feel safe even though they're in a car. It's maybe the four sides of the van, but that where they were in New York, they always thought that, you know, well, firstly, Clint Barton might come and get them. So it's all that kind of stuff, I think, which is really quite good. I do like how then this progresses, where you see kind of the storm clouds, the lightning, and then you get the sense of, well, they're getting closer, and you have that four-wheel drive getting attacked. And there's a really cool shot for me on this bit where, you know, they're hiding from the bolts of energy, and they're kind of peering over some kind of box or crate. It's kind of slightly fuzzy in the background, but as the lightning lights up, you see the zombies behind them, and then gradually you see the zombies see them and move towards them, and then you realize they have to get out of there, and you have this huge sort of big sort of run from quite a large zombie horde in the end, whilst at the same time you have zombie Captain Marvel and Icarus that's heavily damaged, fighting away in this Valley of the Broken Gods, as it's called. So really, really enjoyed this kind of sequence because of that build-up, but then also you have, you know, effectively Kate and Riri gone, dead, or so we think, and Kamala has to sort of get to safety. You know?
Yeah, well, there's 4 of them that went out on the road trip. We mentioned Friday as well, accompanying them in the trip as well. You know, she's a part of the team as they go out there. It's just incredible to see how they kill off Kate Bishop in just vaporize her, and that's it, you know, in front of Kamala. The reaction from Kamala is the same reaction I had, just a jaw drop going, wow, they're going to take out a major character just like that, right in the middle of a sentence, basically. And then Riri is trapped. She gets bitten by a zombie, then injects herself to protect herself from the infection, and then the horde start bearing down on her, and Friday is tasked with getting Kamala out of there, leaves her behind, and goes back saying, I've lost one master, I'm not going to lose a second one. So, but it seems pretty unlikely that either of them are going to survive as well, with everything bearing down. But you're right, I do absolutely love the way they've introduced Captain Marvel, and Icarus, these two massively powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. One now a zombie who doesn't know how to think with Captain Marvel, and the other one a heavily damaged robot whose mission was to protect the planet before the rising of Tiamat, the Eternal that was going to rise out of the planet Earth. So he's still on mission, effectively, even though he's heavily damaged. He's still on mission. He feels he's protecting the world from this god that's come down. And the two of them will occasionally break off their battle when they feel threatened, like when the two humans come through the deserts, basically. So when they feel they can just come down, kill them, and then go back to their battle. It's just epic. Again, it's another big moment. And again, some references to characters we haven't seen enough in the universe at all.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I even like the fact that, Kamala being sort of taken to safety by F.R.I.D.A.Y, but she's still not out of the woods and ultimately gets rescued again by Blade Knight which is a really cool mashup here of Blade and Moon Knight.
Yep.
Maybe Moon Blade could be also a moniker for this Khonshu inhabiting character.
Yes, another good idea, actually, because Blade is a vampire who only goes out at night. So yes, it makes sense as being Moonblade. But yeah, I love this idea as well. This is the replacement for the new Fist of Khonshu, because our lovely characters played by Oscar Isaac in the Moon Knight show. Unfortunately, he's been taken by the zombies in the original Apocalypse, so they found a new scion, a new Fist of Khonshu, and that is Blade, the day-walking vampire, who at this stage was supposed to have his movie. I think his movie was supposed to come out this month on the original schedule when it was originally announced all those years ago. So here we have this character of Blade who looks very, very like Mahershala Ali, not played by him, not voiced by him in the voice cast, but definitely looks like the character.
No, absolutely.
And again, you do wonder, and I wonder, I'll speak for myself, I do wonder, was there supposed to be some connection with Blade and Moon Knight? Were they going to bring Oscar Isaac back and put him in that movie with Blade, and then this moment of having Blade be the new Fist of Khonshu just for the Marvel Zombie series would make so much more sense for people that saw the Blade movie in cinemas just this month.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be kind of cool to have that for people. But really, really nice to see this on screen. They do lots of little nods to the Moon Knight character that we saw on the show. Lots of little mentions of things that we learnt on the show. And one thing that I really like taken from comics version of Moon Knight that we didn't really get to see in the show is that Khonshu is the god of night travelers, and Kamala is on her own at night traveling now, trying to find her way to the base, and that's when Blade Knight comes out of the darkness to help her. So it's a little nod again to the character in the comic books, which is a great use of him, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he's cool.
He's very cool. And in fact, I think, as he takes Kamala and ushers her along the road to the SHIELD base in Ohio, I do like as well then at the base where you have the fight between those defending the base and those attacking from the Queen of the Dead's horde.
That's it.
Moonblade, Blade Knight is very good. I mean, I love the fight that he has with Zombie Ghost.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just really good, just because he knows where she will be, almost nullifying her particular superpower here, and it's just a cool fight between them. I mean, I think there's another good set of fights in this, certainly between Alexei, or the Red Guardian, and half of Captain America, which is a nice touch.
Gets to have his battle, yes.
But it's a nice touch as well from the What If Marvel Zombies episode, where he is cut in two by his own shield. Yep. So it's just a nice little carry on from that.
That's a nice callback, and again to Alexei, the Red Guardian, who's always wanted a battle against Captain America, and then gets a bit frustrated when he realizes that it's only half of Captain America. Hoping that he was able to get him at his best, he ends up getting only half of the body of Captain America.
Not only that, but the killer blow is more that he's slipped and he just squishes him.
Yes,
which I thought was quite funny. It's kind of it's not this epic sort of uppercut, or it's not this sort of well-timed throw of a shield where it's bounced off a million walls and happens to slice his head, that precisely, which is what you kind of get with Blade Knight. It's more, he's been kind of, I think, kicked in the nuts, or, and he's kind of almost like a pest around his legs.
Yes.
And eventually he's gotten onto his back, and Alexi's then just kind of slipped backwards, and he just splats him.
Yes.
So it's just very funny.
It is.
Do you like it?
And this kind of section, really, the battle in the Shield base, this is where we kind of get introduced to the characters from Black Widow and from Thunderbolts this year. There's a lot of those characters in the Ghost, of course, being in Thunderbolts along with Alexei and Yelena earlier on this year. And I must say, I love the little nod back to Black Widow with Milena Vostokov, the former scientist of the Widows. In that movie, she was controlling pigs using the red dust. Here and of course the Widows as well, but here she's using the red dust to control zombies, and she's able to control them in the same way, move them forward, move them back, like the Red Sea with the red dust, and she uses them as their army against the Queen of the Dead as well.
It's good, who eventually finds her way to this institute. The other thing that I think we have to pick up on here as well is that the little miniature transmitter device, it is identified as something that is used to contact the Nova Corps here, and so there is a need to get to space.
Yes.
In Total Recall fashion, it's like, get yourself to space. And equally, then you have the zombie horde controlled by Wanda massing outside and attacking. I do like also the fact that the Queen of the Dead here is after them, but it's still not entirely clear for what end. Is it to stop them from using the device? Or is it for another reason?
I think because the places that they've all gone have been quite empty of humans. There's only been about 3 or 4 people, and mostly superpowers. You kind of get the feeling that the Queen of the Dead is going after them just because it's, food for my minions. Off they go.
Well, exactly.
But I just wanted to make reference to the fact that, as I said earlier on, Okoye goes in and brings Hawkeye along with them, calling them the scions of the Queen of the Dead. So all of the heroes who've been turned into zombies and are being brought on board to this army of the dead, they are her scions. They're a little bit higher level. We see some other characters in there, like Abomination in there. We see the half-dead corpse of Captain America in there as well, and then Ghost. So there's quite a few characters that we've seen. Okoye herself, I know she came to the US back in that episode of What If, looking for T'Challa. She left Wakanda to come and find him. So just an interesting touchback to that original What If story, that she's now so high up in the army of the dead. But of course she would be. She's exactly the kind of person that you'd want to be using if you were able to turn her to your side, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely.
But not lots of other losses of characters here. Melina sacrifices herself to allow everybody else to get away. We see all the widows who were in the Black Widow movie. They are also all lost in this battle. Yeah. And the only people left at the end of the episode are Kamala, Yelena, Alexei, Blade Knight, and is that it?
That's it. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought the death of Melina was pretty. It felt quite touching. Just that the idea of Okoye just throwing the spear. So it wasn't even like a bite, or anything like that. It felt almost like this is an adversary that I have to kill in this way.
Yeah.
Yes, she probably turns then as well, but it's not through setting the horde on her. So it felt like it was an acknowledgement of the sort of esteem, maybe, in which she was held by a fellow warrior. I do like the fact that she's also says, we're fighting the zombie plague with science. That felt very Half-Life and Portal.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I really liked.
Yeah, and one of the things I also like about these characters, having Alexei, Melina, and Yelena forming the family unit still, is kind of cool. They were split apart in Black Widow. They were having major familial issues in Thunderbolts when there was only just the 2 of them left, and Alexei and Yelena. So kind of cool to have the 3 of them living together. on this base, reforming their family unit. And then after we see the death of Melina, it's Kamala that talks about the fact that we'll honor her by taking back the planet. So we'll honor her life, we'll honor her sacrifice by taking back the planet from these zombies if they achieve their goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's it for the major points of the episode. Any notes that we haven't mentioned, John?
None from me.
Fantastic. So that just leaves us with, do you defend the first episode of Marvel Zombies, John?
Yes, I really do defend this episode. I give it 4 red eyes out of 5.
Nice.
I just liked the opening, sort of getting together with the team, or what we think to be the team of Kate Bishop, Riri Williams, and Kamala Khan, only really to find out that, yes, this is a desolate, bleak, and unforgiving world that has been destroyed by the zombie apocalypse, and continues to destroy it with, the loss of Riri and Kate Bishop.
Absolutely.
And also then with Melina. So all these sacrifices and deaths, whilst at the same time you have almost godlike superheroes playing out as though, in a sense, nothing's really happened because they just can't destroy one another. Captain Marvel can't bite Icarus to turn him, but equally Icarus, unless he can break through Captain Marvel's defenses and take her head, I mean, she is so powerful that in the end, it's just a struggle of the gods, which makes that kind of whole portion just, if not more, desolate as well, certainly in field than compared to New York. And then, yes, the little showdown at the end at the North Institute. And again, sort of knowing that they need to get this transmitted to space because they need to call upon the Nova Corps for help, which I think is a really nice idea as well in terms of the Nova Corps. I feel as though I know they've been in shows, but it's just like I feel I need to see more of them.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Like they were taken out off screen in the Avengers movies by Thanos. We never found out how they were all destroyed. So since that didn't happen, they're obviously around there somewhere. So.
As I say, I really enjoyed the What If sort of detective noir vibe with the Nova Corps.
Yes,
that was a really cool episode of What If. So I'd give this 4 red eyes out of 5, and yes, I do defend it.
Fantastic. I also defend this episode. Really enjoyed it. Loved the fact that you couldn't tell who was going to make it to the end of the episode, and the teaming up of 3 of my favorite Young Avengers in the episode, one that I've wanted to really see on screen ever since seeing their shows. It's great to see that we at least start out with a little episode of the 3 of them together. So really excited to see the rest of the series and the other characters that we haven't seen outside of maybe 1 movie or 2 movies over the last 10 years. So very excited to see all the other people that are going to be turning up. But we do have some feedback in from our wonderful fellow defenders, i.e. you. If you want to email us in with your thoughts about the series or any of the shows that we cover, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group. There's still a spoiler post up there for each episode of every show that we cover. Pop on over to facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. But first up, Coffee and Vodka sent in his thoughts about the first episode. He says, "Greetings, fellow Riding Dead defenders. Picking out plot details in a stream of consciousness, zombie ultra-violence is a fun challenge for anyone on the ADHD spectrum. Luckily, the broad strokes are easy. Get the MacGuffin to the place to call in reinforcements. In this case, the Nova Corps, which, if memory serves, stopped existing when Xandar was destroyed in the Infinity Stone storyline. This aside, it was good to see Kamala Khan again and the new Blade at all, even if not voiced by Mahershala Ali. And the fight scene between Alexei and Cap was disgustingly epic. The same outstanding animation, voice acting and soundtrack as usual. No notes otherwise, and off to the next episode. 4.5 plague-taken Jakes, half Caps, and Iron Teddies out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka."
Excellent. Good stuff, Coffee and Vodka. Absolutely. As we say, Xander was definitely destroyed. So again, I guess, weirdly, it may not be everything's connected as it should be.
Now, remember, the outbreak took place around the time of the first Battle of New York, which was 5 years ago. So Xandar may not have died.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But totally with you as well then around Kamala Khan. And it's a shame Blade hasn't happened yet. I was really looking forward to that and seeing what might come of it, especially given sort of the end credit scenes there in the Eternals.
Yeah.
With the Black Knight.
But honestly, when I watched this the first time, I went, well, if we're not going to get Blade and we're not going to get any more Moon Knight, put the two of them together and give us Blade Knight.
Exactly.
That's a cool cool holding pattern for us to be in for the next couple of years. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka, for your feedback, as always.
Yeah, thanks, Coffee and Vodka. Over on our Facebook group, we got some feedback. First up, Heather Wallace, who says, I wasn't sure if this was a different universe to the zombie world from What If until I saw a bisected Captain America crawling around. That and the reference to events in Wakanda position it after the end of that episode. It's a great concept, but makes me sad to go back and rewatch that episode because it ended on a hopeful note. The cast here is amazing. I loved all the team-ups, Kamala, Kate and Riri, then Blade, and of course, anytime seeing Yelena with Alexei together is so good. I don't know why, but hearing her call him Daddy in any of the Marvel TV shows and films just warms my heart. It's really good, Yelena and Alexei. And again, that I think that gets really more poignant as we move through this series. So, I really, really enjoyed that. I think as well, it's like, as you say, the team up's just really good here. And I totally get your point here, Heather. Yes, the hopeful note at the end of the What If episode starts to get sort of degraded somewhat over the course. It becomes darker, more terrifying, but yes, it's such a good series.
Yeah. I think that idea of happily ever after never works well when you have a zombie show story to tell, isn't that it? Great stuff. Thanks, Heather. Also on Facebook, Dr. Bob Phillips says the world is ending, ghosts can phase, Moon Knight becomes Moon Rider, and there's only one way to make it all right. Shield in space.
Exactly.
No, Dr. Bob.
Yes.
NASA, it did exist.
Yes, Dr. Bob.
Shield needs to go to space.
Where is Sword? Yes. Where is Sword, actually?
No such thing as Sword.
There is.
Not in this universe. That wasn't created before the zombie apocalypse, so it doesn't exist. There you go. Fantastic, Dr. Bob. Love it.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Bob. And Harvey Locust says, it was good to see Kamala, Riri and Kate together. I just hope this isn't the only time.
Agreed.
Well, I think old Kate is joining her hero in the zombie world.
I think Harvey probably means just in general.
Oh, okay.
So I hope we get to see the three of them in live action coming up in Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be very good. Very good.
So.
Good stuff. Thanks, Harvey. And finally, Paul Tianchi Lee says, I feel like the team up of Kamala, Riri and Kate, plus the addition of Yelena in the second half, is some backdoor Young Avengers assembled lampshading. Having so many of the live action actors voice their characters is great. So much positive energy in the grimmest of timelines. Indeed, Paul, indeed.
It's a great way to put it, yes.
Yeah, very grim.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, every episode, getting to those credits and seeing exactly who's back voicing their characters, just fascinating. Seeing, wow, they got all of these actors from throughout the 20 or 10 years of Marvel to come back and pop in to do some voice acting. Although my favorite behind the scenes story is that Elizabeth Olsen was asked a couple of weeks ago when did she record for Marvel Zombies, and she said, did I record something for Marvel Zombies? I have no memory of doing that whatsoever. But I did do lots of voice recording for all the other projects I was on, so they probably just slipped a couple of lines in here and there. So absolutely. Don't ask her about Marvel Zombies. She has no concept or no idea. And also good to see Kerry Condon, Ireland's own Kerry Condon, back to voice Friday in here. I think she's coming back for the Vision Quest TV show, as everybody that has been involved in the AI suits or the suits for Tony Stark. I think all of them are coming back for that TV show, so I think we will hear Friday in live action one last time there.
Excellent.
So
excellent
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
great stuff. Thanks very much, Paul, for your feedback, and thanks everybody for your feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, and thanks, fellow defenders, for your feedback. But thanks so much for joining us and listening to our podcast on this first episode of Marvel Zombies. Yes, we will be back with episode 2 just in a short time, because it is Halloween.
Absolutely happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Talk to you again next time.
But yes, thank you so much, fellow Defenders, for joining us until episode 2. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep eating those brains.
Don't eat brains.
And
Bye.
don't eat chilled monkey brains.
Don't do that. Bye.
Bye.
But let's start off in New York. I'd start off with... let's start off in New York City.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the three of them. I love Kamala Khan, to be honest. And I've got written Kamala Harris.
Of course you have, John. Of course. I love that we'll start pronouncing her name as Kamala occasionally because of Kamala Harris as well.
I was like, oh, is that different? I mean, it is different from what's happening with Bart Clinton as a zombie.
That's another president. Clint Barton.
It's clearly something different happening than Bart Clinton, than Clinton Bart. Clint Barton. Yes, talk to you soon. But in the meantime, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep eating brains. Bye.
No, don't eat brains, John. Don't eat brains.
And of course, keep eating brains.
Bye.
It's supposed to be positive, not and keep don't eating brains.
Keeps not eating brains.